This is Cars and Bids, and today I'm going to talk about some of the exotic cars and the supercars that we have offered on Cars and Bids and that we are offering right now, some I'm very excited about. This came up because the Cars and Bids team and I recently realized there are a surprising amount of exotic cars, supercars that we either have for sale right now or have just sold, and so today I'm going to discuss a few of the more interesting ones, so let's get to it. Okay, supercars on Cars and Bids. No discussion of this would be complete without mentioning the McLaren 720S. On like our second week in existence, we sold this 2018 McLaren 720S for $215,000. I still remember when this car came into us, it was submitted, we were like, we're gonna sell a McLaren? Is this really? We agreed on reserve. We were all very nervous, but the person had a very reasonable reserve for the car. It was a very clean car, about 7,000 miles, a little high for a McLaren, but it was really nice shape. 720S, the flagship current McLaren, aside from the really special series cars. And we took it and we put it up and we were like, I'm not really sure what's gonna happen. And what happened was we sold it. The seller was happy, the buyer was happy. It was a good result for a special car. And that was our first foray into selling supercars, which has continued quite a bit. Now, next up in the supercar, exotic car discussion, I want to talk BMW 850 CSI. Now, this may not seem like a supercar at first glance, it's just a BMW 8 Series, but there are only 200 and some of these shipped to North America, so it is incredibly rare. So it's certainly exotic and special. Plus, it is a manual transmission V12, so you can row your own gears in a 12-cylinder. To me, that makes it pretty special, especially from its era. It was a really, really exciting car. Now, earlier, a few weeks ago, we sold an 850 CSI for serious money, $143,000 for this one in purple. Daytona Violet was the name of the color. This car brought over $140,000 on Cars and Bids just a few weeks ago, and that is pretty special. And so in that sense, it's an exotic car as well. Certainly more valuable than a lot of Ferraris or other more exotic cars from its time period. These are really starting to gain an appreciation and value. And I mention this because we just launched another BMW 850 CSI, this white one, absolutely gorgeous. One thing I like about this car, it has been invited to Pebble Beach displays twice by BMW, so they consider it to be a fantastic example of the car. Again, manual transmission, V12, it is a very exciting car, and this is our first ever weekend auction. It's starting on a weekend, it's ending on a weekend. No idea if this is going to be successful, but we will find out. But again, 850 CSIs, we did really well with the first one. We're excited to have another one. This is a beautiful car and a really, really exciting one. Next up, speaking of BMW, not a name you normally associate with supercars, but right now on Cars and Bids, we have one of the great BMWs, 2002 Z8 in bright red. That was what they called the color, and it is spectacular. Red with a tan interior. It comes with the color-matched hardtop. These are getting more and more respected. These Z8s came out, they were pretty exciting, a lot of people liked them, and then they kind of dipped in value. People didn't really get into it. It became sort of a used car. But then people really started to appreciate, as with a lot of these early 2000s sports cars, exotic cars, manual transmission, no center screen. It's just a fun, drivable, enjoyable car. And so their values have really started to shoot back up, also helped by the fact that it is beautiful. One of the most beautiful cars in the modern era, unquestionably. The best looking retro car of all time, no doubt. So this is a really cool car, and I am very excited to see how it performs this week on Cars and Bids. It ends on Monday, so let's see what happens. Next up, another supercar we've had on the site, this 2019 Ferrari GT-C4 Lusso. I love the Lusso. It is the practical Ferrari, and I have all these dreams of driving kids to soccer practice in a Ferrari shooting brake station wagony thing, and it is just so cool. This one was the V12 model, not the standard base model V8. It had great options, only 1,500 miles, one owner. It was a really special car. This one didn't sell, unfortunately. It was bid up to $215,000, very good money, but not quite enough to get it sold. Sometimes it happens. I was a little disappointed. I was really hoping it would get there. It was a very special, very desirable car, but we didn't quite have the people in the room that day, as they say. But it was still a really exciting auction to host and added to our supercar roster. Now, with that said, on the subject of the GTC4 Lusso, one other Ferrari V12 supercar we did have that did sell is this 2012 FF. This is another special V12 powered Ferrari supercar, and in my opinion, personally, the FF has become an absolute bargain. This one we sold for $100,500, and it's just, again, a practical Ferrari. How cool. And all-wheel drive, so you could take it in the snow if you wanted. I love these cars so much. Some people don't think they're the most attractive, but to me that misses the point. It is a long roof, practical Ferrari. Who cares what it looks like? Here's your chance to have a Ferrari and a family all at once. And I just think they're amazing. And they're even more amazing considering that they're now $100,000. It is an enormous amount of car for the money. And I was really proud to present this one and proud to sell it. And next up, speaking of Ferrari, another car we sold recently was this 1995 F355 Berlinetta, red over tan with the 6-speed manual. This is the 355 to have. And this is a rare car, and it's getting rarer. At a time when the exchange rates made sense, a lot of Europeans were shipping F355s and other valuable sports cars from the 90s out of the States and into Europe. And a lot of the cars they left behind were convertibles, which made more sense in the US market since it's generally better weather here, and the automatics and the rougher ones, and it's getting really hard to find manual coupes. They're either gone or being hoarded or in Europe or whatever. And so this was a really special car, red tan coupe with a recent major service, which is a big deal for the 355 because it's pretty expensive. We sold this one for $77,000. It was just a very exciting car with a very exciting auction and just a beautiful car. 355, one of the most beautiful cars. Just a really gorgeous vehicle. And I was thrilled to present on Cars and Bids a manual red tan coupe with a major service. That's the 355 that everybody wants, and it was an exciting one. Okay, next up, a car we have right now verging on supercar territory, this 2001 Porsche 911 Turbo. Certainly supercar performance, but the question of whether a 911 Turbo is a supercar still rages today. This particular 911 Turbo is a rather interesting car. It's an automatic, which is rare on the turbos. Most of the ones I see are manuals. The automatic means that it's sort of a point-and-shoot car. Put your foot down and it goes fast. I had a 2001 996 Turbo, and it was a special car. The cool thing about this is the color Orient Red Metallic. Now, in the early 2000s, colors are not like they are today or like they were in the 70s, where everybody was falling all over themselves to get weird paint-to-sample or special colors. So finding a 996 in this color is really not common. Orient Red, it's a beautiful color. It looks gorgeous. It looks great. It really does. And I'm thrilled to offer this car. And the benefit of these 996 turbos is, even though they have come up in value to some degree, they are still nowhere near where they should be given the performance and the reliability factor, because the 911 Turbo from this era doesn't have the IMS issue that the naturally aspirated cars are kind of famous for. And so this is a fantastic buy. These 996 turbos are amazing performance, good reliability, and this one is a very special color, and you get kind of supercar for regular car money, which has always been one of the benefits of the 911 Turbo. Next up, let's talk GTR. Right now, listed for sale on Cars and Bids, ending on Monday, we have a 2010 Nissan GTR. This is an interesting one. It has 90,000 miles, which is a lot for a GTR. Someone decided they were going to daily a GTR and then actually did just that. Now, one interesting thing here is this has a replacement transmission. So the trans was replaced in 2017. That was a weak point of GTRs. And so to have one where the transmission has been replaced, that's a good thing. It generally means you're going to get a lot more life out of it. You get a GTR, especially an earlier GTR like this one, you want to see a transmission replacement or very low miles. This one with higher miles, nice to see the transmission has been replaced. But this is true supercar performance. GTR, absolutely insane, unbelievably fast, and they have gotten down to relatively bargain price levels for the performance and frankly for just how special this car is. Not a lot of people talking about GTR anymore, especially as a new car. It's become very expensive and very uncommon, and now it's pretty outdated. But in the used world, these are still monsters for the money. I'm thrilled to see what this one goes for, and I'm excited to have a GTR on Cars and Bids, one of the great modern performance cars. Last up, certainly an exotic car verging on supercar territory, I want to talk Aston Martin Vantage. I've discussed Vantages in a few of these videos, and I bring it up because it's kind of a curious thing. We've gotten a lot of them submitted. We have sold all of them. They tend to get good interest, good money, good views, and it is one of our marquee cars that we keep getting, like S2000s, E39 M5s. There's a lot of people looking for these right now because they're beautiful, they're exotic, and they're bargains. So we've had 8 Vantages come into Cars and Bids, and we've sold 7. Only 1 has missed its reserve. And the last one we sold, which I might as well bring up since it's the most recent and it's very desirable, this was no reserve. People are having so much confidence in the Vantage and in Cars and Bids that they're just offering exotic cars with no reserve. But this particular one was a 6-speed manual with no reserve, and it was a beautiful car. It was a 2007 with some later wheels, silver. It looked really, really nice. Around 50,000 miles, which is where a lot of these seem to be, but I had mine around 50,000 miles. I didn't really have any troubles with it, and I think that's kind of the secret about these cars. They're more reliable than everyone thinks, and they're actually an absolute bargain, and with a manual, they're particularly fun to drive. This particular one sold for $33,250, and that's about where they all are. Camry money for a manual exotic Aston Martin. It's just, this is one of the great bargains of the car world, and I'm happy that we've been able to offer so many Vantages and sell so many Vantages among our other exotic cars. So that is a look at the exotic and supercars of Cars and Bids, and we have more on the way. Just watch. It's been very interesting to see, we didn't know if people would be submitting these really high dollar, very special, low production, high performance supercars, but they have, and we've done generally pretty well in selling them. So those are a few of my favorite, most interesting supercars that we've sold in the past or that are currently listed for sale right now.